Hello and welcome to today's discussion with Linda Head of Lone Star College, the 2021 Global Leader of Influence by the World Affairs Council of Greater Houston. I am Sandia Bayou, Chief Development Officer at the World Affairs Council of Houston. It's our hope that you and your families are staying safe and being healthy. Linda, congratulations and welcome.
Oh, thank you. I'm honored and appreciate that you're taking the time to talk to me.
Absolutely. If I may share a little bit about the actual event that's going to take place October 14th for our participants, and just stress the importance of what this means for the council, attendees, guests, nominees, and yourself as well. The World Affairs Council of Houston is dedicated to honoring individuals who, in the spirit of Jesse H. and Mary Gibbs Jones, have contributed to the international spirit of our city. In celebration of these individuals, our council hosts annual Jesse H. Jones Awards Luncheon to highlight their achievements. This year, we are celebrating, honoring, and recognizing VPs Starlee Sykes and Alistair Vickers as a 2021 International Citizens of the Year. And we are so thrilled that during this momentous celebration, we will also be recognizing you as the 2021 Global Leader of Influence. Global leaders are individuals that have demonstrated exceptional leadership, made a significant contribution to the international spirit of Houston, and built long-lasting impact on the community. And you are certainly one of those well-deserving individuals. Linda, if you would allow me to highlight some of your career and some accomplishments that you are part of, have been, and I'm sure will be for years to come. You serve as a Senior Associate Vice Chancellor for Lone Star College's Office of External and Employer Relations, serving more than 90,000 students. Lone Star College has 7 campuses and multiple community and workforce centers of excellence. You have spent your 29-year community college career committed to excellence in workforce and economic development, adult basic education, veteran affairs, and customized corporate training. You serve on multiple boards and councils to include the Greater Houston Women's Chamber of Commerce Board, the Greater Houston Partnerships Economic Development and Upskill Houston Councils, the Woodlands Chamber of Commerce of Executive Council, the Higher Education Coordinating Board's Workforce Advisory Council, Texas Association for Business Board, ensuring their foundations next year, and the Commission for Workforce and Economic Development, or American Association of Community Colleges. Do you have a free minute in your day? It's wow.
No, but I like it that way.
That is fantastic. And as I mentioned, well-deserving. I can't have an example of broader community support, leadership, guidance, and education as well. Just like our council, again, we are all about education, and we are so proud to have our participation from high school students, universities, community colleges as well. And as we say for all our members as well, we are constantly learning, and therefore continued education for all of us. Wanted to highlight, again, I mentioned we work with high school students, and in preparation for our discussion today, that was a very valuable source for us to stay engaged with those students. And I have to tell you, some of them are way smarter than me. It's just unbelievable. And I have asked them if they would forward some of their questions that they might be interested in, getting to know you. So from this point on will be the questions that were sent by our student members. So if I may, anyone asked, from your professional career path, is there something that you might want to highlight? Perhaps an accomplishment?
Over the years, I started in a corporation in Houston, Tenneco Exploration Production, a long time ago, and found my way to the community college in the late 80s. As a recruiter at Tenneco, which was my first position there. And then on the other side, educating and training students to go to work for places like that. We've developed a very comprehensive program development process that brings in current labor market data, economic data, what companies are moving in and out of Houston. Then we bring the employers in and let them validate it and help us build all the degrees and certificates we offer at Lone Star College. We have 70 Associate of Applied Science degrees, soon 5 bachelor's degrees, and a multitude of certificates and certifications. And the last piece that I was allowed to be responsible for to help with that then is job placement. So probably watching our students actually get jobs with the employers that helped us develop the programs of study is really very rewarding.
I can imagine when he's gone a full cycle from need to actually having individual, and also what that means for an individual himself or herself. So wonderful. Thank you for that. Elizabeth would like to know, and you just touched upon it slightly, how did you arrive where you are today? We heard you have a corporate start.
I did, and then I had a baby, and back then traveled around the country. You didn't travel globally as like people do today, and I wanted to be closer to home, and decided to leave my job. I was going to train on all the software that was coming out back then, and found the community college. At my exit interview, the HR representative told me about a part-time teaching position at night, teaching word processing at the Kingwood campus. And I started there the next week at night and ended up as a full-time professor 2 years later, and ended up here. But I'll say, I think the most important reason I got to keep growing and moving up in my career is I almost always say yes. And if you ask on a special project, one of my superiors asked me to do something, I'd say yes. And I just try to figure it out and surround myself with the best people that could help me figure it out. And it worked well.
Certainly, certainly. Fatima was wondering, what advice do you have for aspiring students, talking about students, who are considering a similar career? And we do know, again, that you have a little turn in the middle, but we see where you are and seem to be very happy there.
Hard to know exactly what you want to be when you're a student.
Sure.
I knew what I didn't want to be. When I went to college, women were primarily nurses, teachers, or accountants. And I knew that that wasn't what I wanted to do, but I wasn't quite sure what. Mm-hmm. And sometimes you pick the first choice and you go with that, and then you build upon it. I will say I was always involved in internships, even in graduate school. I participated in an internship, which at the time was Compact Computers. Mm-hmm. I was teaching, finishing my graduate degree while I was teaching at Lone Star College. And that summer, I got to intern in their corporate training department. And I got to make a decision. Did I want to go back into corporate life, or did I want to stay in education? But those internships really helped me. I recommend don't wait until someone says you have to take this course and it's called an internship or an externship or an apprenticeship or whatever it might be. Yeah. Volunteer for it, and also focus on jobs while you're in school that will give you an experience that you're not going to get otherwise, so you can start exploring what your career options might be.
Certainly. And by the way, infomercial, but we do also offer internships. So any students that might be listening that are not part of our organization, very much to Linda's point, you said what Linda said, please participate with us, reach out to us. And it is, again, the skill set that we offer, and we really always make sure that our interns are just as valuable team members, not just interns as they sometimes could be labeled. So call me if there are any interns. We're happy to have you. Looking back, Linda, Andres was asking if there's any guidance, suggestions you might have for younger self, the younger Linda, thinking back. It could be career, maybe educational, or maybe even personal.
Travel and travel. You know, spring break at the beach is fun, but spring break, traveling to New York City and or Boston and walking the history 3 miles, or going to San Francisco and seeing how people came through the different ports and cities in the United States, and how immigrants first were introduced to the United States, and learning the US history of people. Travel internationally when you have the opportunity, do the study abroad programs and participate in those, because if you learn about the world, you learn to understand what is a global corporation. What does that mean? What does that mean that a company is involved in 100 different countries around the world? And what are their problems and their issues? And just to look at Houston. Houston is either the most diverse or the second most diverse city in the United States. And all the different cultures and kinds of people, if you don't travel, you really don't get to experience the different kinds of people and cultures, and you don't get to understand the global business world and what that means.
Very true, very true. Again, that people-to-people connection, the understanding the culture, understanding where they came from, or coming from, or how that affects their current state of mind or their current challenges. And you cannot really take out that part of any individual, and it's very certainly important, that needs to be appreciated.
Do you mind if I add one more thing to that?
No, please.
When I traveled, I had the unique opportunity as an educator to try and help with workforce development in South Vietnam, Jakarta, Indonesia, Brazil, because of the oil and gas in Brazil, India, because of all the manufacturing that's in India with US-based companies. And it changed me forever to go to those countries. And it changed me to appreciate what we have here in the United States. All the different opportunities we have that people in some other countries and areas of their countries don't have. And also to know, most importantly, the people are people. You know, what you see on television is over-exaggerated at best. And when you travel and meet people in these other countries, especially those that aren't necessarily the top tourist spot, but the other kinds of places, you learn that everyone loves their family. Everyone works hard, and they're trying to make a living to provide for their family. And we all have that in common. And I think that's really neat and an important lesson for students to learn.
Absolutely. Maria was wanting to know of kind of your thoughts of what do you see the future of your field? We know that education is definitely changing, and you're changing with the times, where times are changing. A lot of changes going on, of course. How do you see the future of your field work, if I might say that?
You know, it used to be you went to college, you got a degree, and then you were done. Or you graduated from high school and you went a different track where you didn't need a degree for a job, and you never went back. There are 1,100 community colleges across the United States, and you can keep going to school your whole life, and you should. And so there are lots of opportunities in higher education, and especially in the community college world. There are 9 community colleges just across the greater Houston area. And the opportunities, people don't realize the opportunities to help people keep learning. You might just come back to get Amazon Web Services certification boot camp, or you might find that you graduated with a sociology degree and you really didn't find the right job, and so you want to get the teacher certification certificate. We do that at community colleges. And there are multiple positions. We have a general counsel, we have a CFO, we have a marketing department. You don't just come to higher education to teach. You don't have to have a PhD in history and be a history professor, but those are fun jobs too. But there are lots of other careers in higher education. We have a CEO, we have campus presidents. One of them came up through the IT world and went and got his doctorate later when he decided he wanted to get more into the academic part of it. I have 4 positions open right now due to retirements, and the people that are applying never thought they'd work in higher education and have lots of experience in corporate life, or entrepreneurs that started a business that maybe they don't want to do that anymore. So I hope that people will consider higher education and community colleges as a career, not just a place to go to be educated.
Certainly. And yeah, I see this I happen to live in the Woodlands too, so I see the different course offerings through different age. Like I said, we're students of life, we're always learning, and I see the breadth of opportunities that the schools here provide. So maybe I should see if there's something I can squeeze in another continued learning, right? You don't know what you don't know. Another important factor of our life is the work-life balance that we speak about. Some of us are better at it, some not so. Jamal was asking, is there something that you enjoy doing to step away from your day work and other obligations, perhaps a hobby that you are proud of?
I've said this before at a conference. I don't believe there is a balance, especially for women and men. You know, you get home into your family life, and whether you're married with children or decide not to be married or have children, you have other responsibilities. And but today's work world makes a true balance very, very impossible, because emails, people are responding to emails on the weekend because they're busy in meetings during the week. Text messaging is so casual now that people are texting each other. We're not punching a time clock. So the true balance is difficult. I think what's worked for my family and me is we don't go anywhere. They get embarrassed. My adult children get embarrassed because everywhere I go, the community college can help with that. The community college can help with, and they know a lot about my work and my husband's work. He also is in community colleges, and they seem annoyed, but then they also realize that community colleges are important. But I will say I'm half Italian, and I was raised in a large Italian family in Northwest Pennsylvania. And I love having my family over. There is nothing I enjoy more than having the kids and grandkids over. And I have a 3-year-old grandson that my husband knows. He's like the man of my life. And so that brings me joy. And being with them, I was lucky to be able to be with them during the last year and a half during COVID, and one of the luckiest NAMAs around. So that's probably it.
That is fantastic. A little bit staying on the same hobby line. Another student was asking if there is a book perhaps you are reading or looking forward to, or maybe it's a magazine, maybe it's Italian cooking magazine, or Italian decor magazine, or a TV show or a movie, or is there that part of Linda, or music perhaps too, that you also enjoy doing?
We do love music in our family, and we do have dance parties with socks on the tile in the entranceway with the grandkids. But in reading, I love historical fiction, and I've gone back and forth recently. There are some good books like the Lilac Girls that talk about World War I, World War II, and the women's involvement in helping as spies or for either side. And not that they wanted to, but they were forced into it. Some terrible things that women were asked to do during both those wars. But I also read Cleopatra and Mark Antony is the most recent book. Found it fascinating about Roman history and Egypt and that whole part of the world and the history and how it evolved. I find that it's interesting to watch and see what mistakes people made and also what cool things they were doing 3,000 years ago, 2,000 years ago. And we think we're so creative and everything we're starting from scratch. And many of the things we're doing today were done before by someone else. I find that fascinating and enjoyable.
Certainly. I want to bring it back, and this will be probably our last question today, is back to Houston and think about greater Houston, of the area that we live in. And we in council, we say it and believe it, and I think we know it, that what happens globally affects us locally and vice versa. We are not in isolation. We are certainly connected to the pulse of the world, and there are many examples that certainly shows that. Where do you see Houston perhaps in 10 years or so? Maybe from your perspective lens of, knowing the education trends and so forth.
Working for a community college, I say we're apolitical, and we support our legislators and what they're trying to do, because they're all trying to do the right thing. It's been really fun being part of Houston, and whether it's the influence of the mayor, the influence of the county judge, the influence of the governor's office, and how all that intertwines, and then all the local municipalities and cities. It seems really neat to me that we're embracing, as a huge city and metropolitan area with the suburbs brought in, how do we get people to work, and how do employers find the right people? I see Houston as continuing to thrive and continuing to be the hub. And as the energy capital of the world, Houston's done a great job because of oil and gas and fossil fuels. And now with solar, we were involved in designing a training program for solar fields in El Campo, Texas. And we're doing that now, working with the city and some projects going on with the city. We just keep growing. It's a fantastic place. And watching as we continue to build even more parks and good living space, it's still a great place to live and work. Economic development and the Greater Houston Partnership is bringing in now an arm that's looking very pointedly at biotech. And we have ION downtown in the old Sears building for startups and creative startup entrepreneurship activities. It's going to continue to thrive and grow. And we're very excited to be part of that. I'm very proud and honored that I get to dabble in all the new things that are going to keep Houston alive, because I really hope that my children and grandchildren can stay here and work here and thrive here. I don't want to ever see them leave. So we're doing our part.
We certainly are. And as we highlighted at the very beginning of our discussion, your accomplishments, your involvement, being part of so many initiatives here in town, and now especially after concluding such a wonderful dialogue and getting to know you best. And we're going to say thank you for your time, certainly today. congratulations. Really, for us, it's an honor also to have you join us. We are thrilled that you accepted it. We are looking forward to celebrating you on October 14th. Can't wait to that day. Of course, there are more details for anybody watching on our website at wachhouston.org. Before we go, Linda, any closing remarks from you?
Well, I have to just say thank you. I'm honored. Lone Star College has given me many opportunities, and my family's always supportive of me. But I also want to talk directly to the female students. You'll figure it out. Figure out ways to negotiate what you need and what you're looking to do, but do it in a professional way. But don't lose your femininity. You can still be I still have big earrings and high heels. So you go. And to all you students, don't give up. Find a great mentor. Thank you.
Thank you, Linda. With that, we'll say again, thank you, congratulations, and we look forward to seeing you soon. Thank you so much.